There are certain things that we will never be able to describe for people to understand till you are in those shoes. I look around and I see my sisters, my brothers, those of us who've been abroad, or those of us who still live abroad. And irrespective of age, class, education, background, color, or where you originally come from, how much money you have, how educated you are, what career you're in, being an immigrant in any country, I think that we always have this subtle feeling of unworthiness. We always downplay our achievements, downplay our potential, and then that just leads to self-doubt. I'm saying this because honestly, I have been through this very unconsciously. Most people meet me and say, oh, I'm very confident, you cannot take anything away from me. Far from me. That's not how I feel every day. And to get to where I am today, I've had to be intentional and deliberate about remembering my worth. I'll explain. Before I ever came to the UK, I was one of the most confident people you could meet as a young girl. I could meet anybody and have a conversation. I mean, anybody. Nothing fazed me. Nobody intimidated me, and I felt like I was enough. That's where any 20-year-old wants to be, you know. And it had nothing to do with, I'll say, money or background. It was just my personality. And when I came, I brought that same bubbly spirit, because you don't change overnight. But I think I was met with a bit of a shock to my system when I came here, because I very quickly realized that I was so different. And it's naive thinking that I will come and be like everybody else. Far from me. No, I did not expect that. But it's not just about how I looked. It's about the people that I met and how I was welcomed. You know, coming from Africa, if you're an African, you understand me. We are generally warm people. We meet people we've never met and we have conversations like we slept on the same bed the night before. We're just made different. And I remember my first encounters when I came to study. I had exchanged a few emails with the administrator in the international office in the School of Economics. And she'd sent several emails to my mom and myself, like, okay, get here, come and look for me this day, this is your admission letter. We'd send maybe 20 emails, and I'll never forget, her name was Rachel. And I started feeling like, oh, Rachel will be my mom when I came in, my best friend. Rachel was doing her job. And my mom giving me something to give Rachel. I think it was like some statue that she said, oh, go give her. She's been so helpful. Make her your mom, like your auntie. Go look for her and be nice. I was so excited, honestly. I went into the first day and I was looking for Rachel. She was not there. I went there about lunchtime. It's a really funny story. And she'd gone for lunch. I came and waited. I almost hugged this woman, and she saw me. She's like, hello. And she walked in. I'm like, this is me. I'm Lulu. And she's like, you're all right? Have you settled in? That alone, this was my second day in the UK. I looked at myself. I thought, do I smell off? Why did she give me that kind of cold shoulder? I just kept my gift, put it in a bag. She said, have you settled in? Did you get your fob? Did you get this? Did you get your lanyard? Did you get your login? Have you got your laptop working? She just went straight on business mode. It still did not really occur to me, and I thought something that I did not do, something that I said, something inappropriate, and again you start making excuses for the things that you would have done. No skin off my nose. I moved on from that, or I thought so. And I started realizing that that bubbly me was taken out of me. My confidence was reduced because, one, I was not only a foreigner. I realized that it was not just about maybe your color being brown, white. There was such a thing as colorism. And in class, my first time I answered a question after 2 weeks, my lecturer is like, oh, you speak really good English. Where are you from? And I'm thinking, English is actually my first language. And sometimes you say something, your English peers will understand and they'll correct you. You could say, please, can you close that drawer? And they're like, oh, you mean drawer? Oh, yes. I started feeling very defeated. And that's where I started losing my confidence. Before I came here, nobody could tell me nothing. started settling for less, believing that I was not worthy. I remember remarkably, and this is important that I share this story to help somebody. I remember that for 6 to 7 years, I changed 3 jobs and I stayed with the same yearly salary. The first job, I was still at my prime. I think I got that job at 22 in London. And after that, I had 2 other jobs out of London and I could not demand for more. Whatever they gave me, I was so grateful. Do you know why? Because all of my friends were doing care jobs. Everybody was getting jobs in the care industry, doing nights, and I had said I was not able to. And when I said that to people, I had to say that in a very modest manner, because I began to feel, who are you? Do you think you're better than others? Why can't you do these jobs? All immigrants are doing it because it's available. People cannot work in the office. People sound different. People cannot be confident to send emails. So I was forced to do this and start justifying my position by settling for anything, because I felt I am lucky. I have been rewarded and I'm not deserving of this. Let me tell you guys, the day I put my feet down and I became intentional, I learned that my value is not based on what anybody tells me. My value came from what I was giving. Every job I went to, I added so much value. Everybody I met thought I was brilliant. And I began to say to myself, I am still that brilliant young girl from Africa. I still am enough. And honestly, that was my turning point. I remember after like 6 years on that same pay, at that point I already had 3 kids. Before I had the first job, I had none. So I gathered some courage and I asked my manager. I was doing so much for that company. It was a small family-run business. And I said, please, can I have a pay rise? I've seen online and, people with my qualifications and my experience and just what I'm doing, I should really demand for more. The guy said, try your luck. We're giving you the most we'll give you. I'm sorry. I sat down. Of course, I couldn't walk out. And thankfully, I was made redundant. And the next interview I went, I took that anger, I looked at my CV, I looked at my age, I looked at my responsibility, looked at my achievements, looked at me in the mirror, and I said, girl, you are enough. And I remember that I asked for a £7,000 salary increase, and I was given without even thinking. I took that and I was saying, imagine 3 months ago, I was asking for this and nobody would give me. I was so excited. But because of that belief that I had in myself suddenly, that extra, stride, that extra spring in my step, I was there only for 6 months. And I said, guys, I'm more deserving. I need to get not only a pay rise, I want to apply for a promotion because there was an opening in a different department. And one of my friends I spoke to, she's like, oh girl, why don't you settle in this job? I said, no, I have been shortchanged for 6 years. I need to make it up. I know that I'm worthy of this. I am providing a service. I'm adding value. The company is gaining from me. Why should I shortchange myself? Why do I feel like Jack, Jill, Anna better than me? And I applied. There were other applicants. I defended. I had sleepless nights preparing for the interview, and I got it. And guess what? From there was another £5,000 increase. So that's how much? £12,000 in 6 months increase in salary a year. I was in that job and I was so happy. I said, my God, thank you. My confidence was back. And then suddenly, and I'm not going to belabor this point, but I can tell you guys that 2 years later, I went for another £15,000 more a year in a different role. And the day I started believing in myself, the whole world believed me. Whether you are an immigrant, whether you're back home, wherever you are, there's that subtle feeling that we are less of the others. And the only thing I'll say to anybody watching, my brother or sisters, please talk to your kids. We are beginning to discover that we bring a lot to the table. We can face subtle discrimination, but we already know. But let our children learn what we know now, so that they don't have to go through what we went through. And the other thing that I believe that kept me away from pursuing my dreams, that kept me away from reaching my destination quicker, is fear. There's a saying that I read: the fear should not be of you dying, it's the fear of you not living your best while you're alive. It's the fear of you basically surviving and not thriving. When I read that quote, it was funny, and I had dealt with this mental thing of life and death and having kids, and I'd come to some sort of acceptance that is inevitable, death. So there's no point to be scared of it. What you should be scared of is not living to your best potential. And when I stopped fearing, let me tell you guys, I opened a business. I had saved money. Whatever you do, don't be reckless, but I can tell you that the only thing holding you back from being brilliant, from that dream like a little girl that you had. If you had dreams to be fashion designer, you had dreams to be a pilot, a doctor, owning a business, whatever you had dreams of when you were a child, please don't kill it because you're here or anywhere else. I can never forgive myself. When I had finished my master's, when I came here, I was still about 23, 24. And I was thinking, what next? I didn't want to go into teaching because that was what everybody was doing to stay here at the time. And I was not sure what route before we were given the 2 years work visas. After studying post-study work visas, I wanted to go into pharmacy. I spoke to 3 people, and only one person said, "Go girl, do whatever it takes, you can do it." And the other said, "Nah, not now. Your parents have spent a fortune. You've just paid off your fees. Please do something close to what you studied. Don't do that." And I followed them. I am telling you guys now that if your dream was to be a pilot, you can be a pilot. If your dream was to be a doctor, a nurse, police officer, whatever your dreams were, they are still valid. Don't be scared. If you wanted to be a business person, I had always said that I wanted to own a business, but I had been scared every year. But the day I started facing my fears head on, I remember emptying my bank account, all my savings, just during COVID when I started my Amazon business. I did not go for one item. No, most people said start with one product. See, no, this girl here, I went for three unique products made from scratch with my logo. Made a company. I did that when people were sleeping during lockdown. I bent my head down and I was producing mass from China, and it was selling out. And I thought to myself, imagine if I was too scared, if I was scared of, oh, I'm going to fail, people will laugh at me. People will say, I am not grateful. People will say, why do I already have a job? People will say, I did not care. I took away that fear. And this fear is what a lot of us as immigrants especially has kept us here in a foreign land for years. The fear of going home and people saying, why did you come back? Oh, she committed a crime, so she was sent back. She never came back by herself. The fear of you yourself thinking, how am I going to survive? How does this business start? How do I pursue this dream? How do I move back to this other country? Maybe you've been in the UK and it's not working. You're thinking, how do I start in Australia, in New Zealand? How do I start in Canada? How do I start in the US? How do I start in Portugal? How do I start back in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Cameroon? You have all these questions and you don't have answers. So the only answer you have is to look for one reason to be scared, and that is your deterrent. I am saying this today because when I think about how far I've come and the fact that the blockers that I took out of my way has led me to almost financial freedom, almost, not there yet, almost. I shared already a few months ago how I was wrongly, accused at work. After a few weeks, they said, "We're sorry, it was a complete error. Please come back." I looked them in the face. I had no job. My accounts were all red. I had issues at home. My partner as well was going through some work challenges. And I looked at them and I said, "No, I'll fight you guys. I'm deserving. I am not settling. I'm not scared of the future. I'd rather walk away with my dignity than be scared." And the fact that I stood my grounds for weeks, I fought with my blood, sweat, and tears. I made sure that nobody would tell me that I'm not worthy. The fact that I could fight that fear is why I got what I got. And they realized that this girl was not backing down. I took the situation head on because I knew my worth. I talk about your worth, talk about fear, and the last thing I'll talk about is comparison. When you stay in your lane, you have your focus and you don't look left or right. What social media has done, it's made this point even much more aggravated. People just want to keep thinking about what A is doing. They forget about themselves. I'm going to share how my life has changed since I stopped looking at status almost 10 months ago. I stopped posting daily on my status or any social media. I did once, maybe a few months ago, just to say that was proof of life. After doing this, I started to concentrate on myself. Whatever anybody else was doing did not affect me. Before I'll go to LinkedIn, you have a good job, you're doing well, and then you go to LinkedIn, baby, hell! You go to LinkedIn and you see people talking about how they've had this training today, this promotion, this colleague, this, that, and then you sit down and you look at your own CV, you look at your life. Let me tell you, and I will say this every day. Do you see anybody who is very unwell, going through a difficult time? Do you ever see them post it? How many times do people when they're in the most vulnerable and the most difficult place in their lives, how many people will post about failure? Maybe 1%. Nowadays, when people are quiet, missing, what often do you get? "Are you okay, my darling? You've been missing. Are you doing okay? How are the kids?" Because we go into our shells when something is going on. So don't worry about social media. Stop comparing your CV to the next person, the person's job title. You go and search, you see what the pay is. You're thinking, "I'm in a shit job." You see them, the holidays with their husbands, they're doing this. You look at your own in the house, you're just sitting down and he's just unkempt, or you are just with your, looking, no prospects. Let me tell you, the sooner you learn that what you see on social media, think about before social media. And this also goes to our parents, especially our African parents. They compare, this person, Julie, got married. Julie's parents, she did this big thing. You have never been. For me, I've never been pressured. People go and enter debt to get married for their parents to come and dance. Or you have to go every year on holidays. You have to build this big mansion so that your parents, so that the daughter there, she's doing well. You have to be a lawyer, you have to be a doctor, you have to be in a top position because they want it. You lose yourself because you're comparing. Comparison will remain the thief of joy. And it's worse nowadays in the diaspora. A has got a new car. I cannot have that my deadbeat car. The people who do this and who play to the gallery are the most unhappy people. If you watching this can learn that these three things is the only barrier from you reaching your goals, from you superseding your goals. If you think about it, even from the fact that you might want to go abroad, you might want to go back home, but you're so scared. You look at your friends who've moved and they have international expat jobs, and you are just going with maybe a very menial basic job. You're not even thinking about the fact that you have your peace of mind. No, you're comparing. So you'd rather be stuck here than do that. Let yourself free yourself, and you'll thank me later. I thought about this and I just said, you know what, I'll talk to you guys about it, because I'm very certain that it's not just me who's thought about this. And I would never say that my life is perfect, far from it. We are heading to perfection, but in the meantime, I'll keep dishing advice, things I've learned, things I wish I knew, and things that I would have done different. And if you found this video helpful, give us a like, consider subscribing. And there's a way that you can actually support the channel. You can always hype my videos. We are on the road to 10,000 subscribers. How do I thank you guys? Maybe before you watch this video we would have hit 10,000, I don't know, but if we have, or even if we have not, I want to thank you guys that it's not been a year yet, but the support has been enormous, and I'm always going to be here to share my experiences, things that I knew and things that I wish I was told. And this is Lulu. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys in my next video. If you like this, it helps the channel. Bye bye.